Students, we'll see the next topic under the third chapter, that is the lawful object. Okay, what do you mean by lawful object? Okay, as the name states, the consideration or the object of an agreement should be lawful. Okay, the object or what is the main intention of the entering into a contract or agreement should be lawful, unless it is forbidden by law. It should not be against the law, or is of such a nature that if permitted would defeat the provision of any law, or it should not be a fraudulent, or involves or implies a injury to a person or the property of another. It should not mm, make injury to a person or property of the person, or if the court regards it as immoral or opposite to public policy. Okay, the lawful object is something, but the intention of the particular context should not be harm the society or harmful to another person. It should not be fraudulent. It should not be against the law. Okay, this is called the lawful object or lawful consideration. Okay, next, what consideration and object are unlawful? Okay, what are the consideration and objects are unlawful? First one is the, if it is forbidden by law. Forbidden by law is nothing but which is the against the law. If it is of such a nature that if permitted it would defeat the provision of any law. If the particular agreement permit means it would defeat the provision of any other laws. Okay, it against the any other laws. If it is fraudulent, if it is a fraudulent means it became the unlawful. If it involves or employs injury to the person or property of another, it in case it makes injury to the person or property of another person, then it is a unlawful. Okay, then if the court regards it as immoral, if the court declared that that particular agreement is or particular concept is immoral, then it is becomes the unlawful. Then if the agreement is regarded by the court as opposite to public policy. Okay, if the agreement is regarded by the court as opposite to the public policy or doctrine of public policy, an agreement opposite to public policy unlawful and void. Okay, next we'll see the uh, what are the okay, this is the main thing under the sixth one. See, if the agreement is regarded by the court as opposite to public policy, we'll see the okay, this is the main thing under the this topic, that is the sixth one. Okay, if the agreement is regarded by the court as opposite to public policy means an agreement opposite to public policy is unlawful and is void. Following agreements are generally considered opposite to public policy. Okay, under the if any agreements are contrary opposite to public policy, okay, means it is a unlawful. Okay, we'll see what are the things coming under the sixth point. Okay, one by one. Okay, first one, agreement of trading with allied enemies. Agreement with the trading with allied enemies is nothing but agreement of trading with the allied enemies are opposite to public policy, as they tend to aid the economy of the enemy country. Such agreements are unlawful and void unless they are specially permitted by the government. Okay, if a person trading with the enemy countries at the time of war means is opposite to the public policy. Next one, an agreement interfering in the course of justice. Okay, an agreement interfering with or obstructing the course of justice. Say, an agreement to influence a judge or of officer or justice to decide the case in favor of a particular party. Okay, bribing the judge or influencing the judge or any officers for the justice to decide case in favor of a particular person. This is the agreements interfering with the course of justice. Then third one is the agreements for stifling criminal prosecutions, that is for preventing criminal proceedings already instituted from running their normal course. Okay, agreement for stifling criminal prosecutions is nothing but, see, if I will see by examples, the compromise of a public offense is opposed to public policy. For example, something crime is happened, but the particular person complained about a particular crime. Okay, after that he withdraw the complaint and is ready for the compromise means it is opposed to public policy. If something is wrong happened means that particular person should be punished, right? Another person is ready to compromise for that means it is opposed to public policy. Then when when a crime had been committed, the guilty must be prosecuted. So, an agreement which seeks to prevent the prosecution of guilty is opposed to public policy. If the particular incident happened, means the particular guilty, the person who did the mistakes, he should be punished or prosecuted, right? So, an agreement which seeks to, if there any agreement to protect the guilty, means it's opposite to public policy. Okay, next, the fourth one is maintenance and champerty. Okay, this is the, okay, what do you mean by maintenance? Maintenance is an agreement whereby a stranger promised to give financial assistance or any other assistance, say professional assistance, to a person involved in litigation in which the stranger, the person giving the assistance, has no legal interest of his own. Okay, maintenance is nothing but it's a agreement between two persons. A stranger, a particular third party, promises to give financial assistance, financial help, or any other professional assistance to a person involved in litigation. Litigation is the expenses involved for the legal aspect, for example, lawyer fees or any other documentation fees for the purpose of the case. Okay. Okay, for example, a third person is giving an helping another person for the purpose of the litigation expenses, okay, in which the stranger has no legal interest of his own. Okay, stranger is nothing is going to get from the that particular case, but he is helping another person. And champert is an agreement. Champerty is an agreement whereby a person agreed to provide financial assistance or any other assistance, say professional assistance, to another person involved in litigation in exchange for his promise to hand over portion of gains of the litigation. Under this, see, only the difference is under the maintenance also he is the third person helping the one party of the contract by helping financial or professional assistance for the meeting the litigation expenses, but he's not getting anything from the gains. Okay, but under this champert is an agreement, same, he giving the financial assistance, the stranger is giving the financial assistance as well as the professional assistance to another person involved in litigation in exchange for the promise to hand over in the, and last one say, under this the party of the contract have promised to hand over portion of the gains to the litigation to the stranger. In this champerty, the stranger is going to get the something from the particular contracting party after the case after the particular case okay, after the particular case. But you see, both the maintenance and champerty are opposite to public policy. Okay, this is both are opposite to public policy. So under the English law, both maintenance and champerty are absolutely void. Under the English law, these both are absolutely void. But under the Indian law, they are not made absolutely void because of the peculiar position of Indian litigants, many of whom too poor to afford litigation expenses. They are made valid subject to certain conditions. See, nothing is there under this. Under this is nothing but the particular person helping the other person to meet the some legal expenses. Under the first one, is not get under the maintenance, he is not getting anything back, but under the champerty, he is getting something from the gains of the litigation. But both the maintenance champerty are opposite to public policy in, but under the English law. Okay, it's odd. Under the English law, it's completely odd. But under the in India, they are not made absolutely void because many of the because of peculiar position of Indian litigants, many of whom are too poor to afford the litigation expense. Some people are too afford to too poor to afford the litigation expenses. In that case, they can take the help from the stranger. Okay. Next is one. Fifth one, trafficking in public offices, titles and honors. Okay, trafficking in public offices, honors and agreements for sale of transfer of public offices, titles or honors, or for appointment to public offices is consideration of money are opposite to public policy. It's nothing but destroying the public offices or selling the property of the public offices or appointing a particular officers of the public offices or selling the titles and honors of the public offices or offices. These are the opposite to public policy. Okay, next one, agreement unduly restraining personal liberty or freedom of individual, restraining personal, this person, okay, personal liberty or freedom of individuals. Agreement unduly restraining personal liberty or freedom of individuals have been held to be opposed to public policy. Any agreements which are destroy the freedom, individual freedoms, or personal liberty, personal freedom, or the personal liberty of the particular individuals, any agreements restrains the personal freedom or liberty of a particular individual, means it's opposed to public policy. For example, say an agreement by a debtor to do manual work for the creditor as long as debt remains unpaid is against public policy, right? Agreement, jita paddhati, you heard about jita paddhati, right? It is coming under this, okay. Then next, agreements creating an interest opposite to duty. Interest opposite to duty. Any agreements we are entering which are opposite to our duty. A particular person, every employee has his own duties, right? If a particular person doing any duty against his any work against his duty, means is opposite to public policy. See, an agreement which creates a conflict between interest and duty is opposite to public policy, and it is odd. An agreement where a person agrees to do something which is against his public or professional duty. For example, a particular person, each and every employees has their own duties, right? Their own duties. If a person agrees to do something which is against the duty, okay, it is opposed to public policy, okay. Agrees to pay be the for example, an agreement by an editor of a paper not to comment on the immoral act of particular person is odd, right? Yeah, what are the main duty of the editor? He have to disclose all the facts truly, right? If he is ready to not to comment on the not to disclose the immoral act of a particular person, means it is opposite to public policy, okay. Next, agreement in restraint of parental rights or duties. Restraint of parental rights or duties. An agreement is restraint of parental rights or duties is opposite to public policy, okay. In other words, an agreement by which the guardianship of parents over their minor children and that of guardians over their wards is permanently alienated is inconsistent with the parental rights or duties. For example, say parental rights. If a person is trying to separate the child from his mother, it's also opposite to public policy, parental rights. And the father of two minor sons agreed to transfer their guardianship to mrs uh, to miss for to another person on irrecoverable basis. Subsequently, he wanted to resign the agreements, right? For example, the father of the minor child, he want to transfer his guardianship to the another person, parentalship to the another person, which is opposite to public policy, okay. Next, agreement interfering with the marital duties is nothing. Marital duties is nothing but the, if any agreements which are for the separation of the husband and wife, okay. Agreement which would interfere with the marital duties are void for opposite to public policy. For example, see, agreement to lend money to a woman to enable her to get a divorce and marry the lender is void, okay. Or an agreement that the husband would always stay at the father-in-law's house and that the wife could never leave her parents' house is odd, right? As per the Indian culture, the girl after marriage she should be stay in the husband's home, okay. And any agreement that husband would always stay at the father-in-law's house and that wife could never leave her parents' house is odd. Then next one is the marriage brokerage agreements, okay. Marriage brokerage agreements. Marriage brokerage agreements refers to agreements whereby a person for a monetary consideration promise to procure for another person a husband or a wife, okay. Marriage brokerage agreements is nothing but any agreements which are relating to the breaking of the marriages or any other things. Marriage broker agreements refers to agreements whereby a person for a monetary consideration promise to procure for another person a husband and wife. ದಳ್ಳಾಳಿಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ ಹಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಟು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ. ಹಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಒಬ್ಬರ ಹಣ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹುಡುಗ ನೋಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು, ರೈಟ್? ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಟು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, agreement in restraint of marriage. So agreement, marriage brokerage, this is brokerage, okay? Brokerage agreements. Agreement in restraint of marriage, it's nothing but an agreement which retains any person other than a minor from marrying at all or from marrying a particular person. Any agreements were stopping the marriages or restraining or stopping a particular person to marry another person, right? It is opposite to public policy. Agreement tending to create monopolies. Monopoly create ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. Monopoly create ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದರೂ agreements ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ it is also opposite to public policy. Agreement tending to create monopolies are unlawful and odd. They are opposite to public policy. An agreement in restraint of trade, in any trade, for example, the person A selling certain goods to person B in legal way. If any agreements to stop this business, okay, to destroy the business of the A means it's opposite to public policy. For agreement, a limit competition and to maintain a prices does not become odd. An agreement binding a person to sell the goods at a certain price is, okay, this, for example, selling the goods more than the actual price, right? That is also, it's also opposite to public policy. Next, we'll see agreement to influence election to public offices. Agreement with the voters tending to influence them for improper means are void. Similarly, agreements with third person to influence voters by improper means are void. Okay, for example, at the time of the elections, the influencing that particular public persons to vote a particular person, right? It's also opposite to public policy. Then agreement to defraud creditors. If the any agreements relating to the cheating the creditors, which is opposite to public policy. Agreements to defraud creditors are opposite to public policy and so are void. For instance, if a person who has filed an insolvency petition transferred to a third person for consideration some of the property with the object of defrauding its creditors, is the act is opposite to public policy. For example, if a person intentionally applying for the insolvency, he has a certain enough properties, even though he has enough of these, he is putting the petition for the insolvency, means is opposite to public policy. Next, agreements to defraud revenue authorities. For example, revenue authorities something but avoid to pay the taxes, right? Agreements, the object which is to defraud the revenue authorities, are void and so are not enforceable by law. For instance, an agreement by which an employee was to get, in addition to salary and expenses allowances, closely in excess of the expenses actually incurred by him. Next one, an agreement to vary the period of limitations. Agreement which restrict or extend the period of limitation prescribed in the law of limitation or void. For example, certain cases or for certain matters, there should be a time limit. If a person trying to extend that time limit, it is the opposite to public policy. For example, particular certificate have to submit their certificate within the 15 days. If a person trying to bribe the particular officer and he is trying to change the date of submission, he is trying to extend the date for the 20 days, means it is opposite to public policy. Next, agreement to induce persons to give evidence in civil courts. Okay, agreements in restraint of, it's over. Agreement to induce persons to give evidence in civil courts is nothing but it is a legal duty of every witness to appear in the court of law. Agreements whereby money is given to induce witness to give, if a particular person giving money to another person to giving the false evidence in the court, okay, ಸುಳ್ಳು ಸಾಕ್ಷಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹಣ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ it is a legal duty of each and every person to give the witness. If that particular person sees the particular incident, means he have to give the witness in the court, but that is the legal. But agreements whereby money is given to induce the witnesses, a particular person bribing another person for the purpose of giving the witness, it's opposite to public policy. Okay, these are the main things under the lawful object meaning. And what are the consideration objects are unlawful, ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಲಾಫುಲ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 1 2 3 4 5 6 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್. ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಸಿಕ್ಸ್ತ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ okay, that is opposite to public policy. Under that many points are there. Okay, we'll see some other topic under this chapter in the next class, that is the wagering agreements, in the next class. Thank you.